Good morning. We're glad that you've joined us for this week's podcast. My name's Jerry Hendricks, and this is my good friend,
Teak Hamilton.
Teak Hamilton. Yes. Teak, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you, Jerry?
I'm doing pretty good.
That started out with a lot of I'm doing pretty good.
I know we're off to a rocky start today, but sometimes that happens.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But Teak's feeling good, and we're always curious why. So, Teak, what are you looking forward to most on Sunday?
On Sunday, the children's musical.
Well played.
Because you never know what could happen.
That's right. Hey, you were talking about share with our audience your idea about a children's Christmas musical.
My idea about it?
Yeah, that you share with me this week.
Well, I shared a lot of ideas without you, and I'm not sure which ones are appropriate and which aren't.
Well, you're going to have to determine that on the fly here, buddy.
We watched, last Sunday in class, we watched The Best Christmas Pageant Ever, which is a 1983-84 movie, which I was only 3 or 4 years old when that came out. And it was fun to watch because it had like kids acting out the nativity and just seeing their take on it and seeing it through their eyes. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. Well, this Sunday is our children's musical, and it's always a fun time for us. It is also the third Sunday of Advent.
It is.
And the theme is joy. We're finally getting everyone on the same page, and it's mostly my fault for getting us off the same page.
But it's like hope and joy, they're good. Like, I always get peace and love mixed up. I always know joy is third, has 3 letters, third.
Well, I did develop an acronym that I will not share that has helped me keep them in order, but for some reason I did have the wrong ones listed on our Wednesday program. So anyways.
Yeah, nobody noticed except for us.
My bad. Glad to have good editors. That's all I can say.
Word.
Sunday is going to be a very special day. It's something that we look forward to every year at Christmas time. And probably just from going back to what you said about just the chaos or whatever that, or just letting kids play out the story. I mean, that is a kind of part of what we have the opportunity to experience on a Sunday, even though they're rehearsed, they've worked on their music, and but you still never know. And through that, I don't know, adults just get excited about that.
Well, yeah, because it's not like it's not a bad thing. When it happens, it's kids trying to, or leading worship, not just trying to, they're leading in worship. Right. And sometimes things happen, and, out of the mouths of kids comes a lot of fun. So, yeah, I love it.
Very true. And we also have something else that we wanted to share with you about for this Sunday. We do this on occasion, and this Sunday is going to be another one of those opportunities where we have a gift for every family that comes and attends on Sunday morning. Voila, and there it is.
Advent is about presence. Presence. Yeah. A presence of Jesus, which inspires us to give gifts.
Okay, and so this Sunday in our church foyer, as folks come in or leave?
Leave. Because we don't want all the, they want to be listening to the kids, not focusing on their present.
Okay. Well, as you leave on Sunday from worship, we'll give each family, there's one per family, a gift from our church. And do you want to tell us a little bit about what's in there, or just purpose behind the gift?
I'll give you a tease. We're going to give it to families. We'll hand it out to the parents. We want the parents to come back and pick them up so we can explain what's inside here and what the expectation is. And the idea behind it is that as a church, we want to encourage people to spend time together as families outside of their church experience. And so part of that is what's going into here. And I'm not going to say any more because the best part of present is the surprise. And so there you go.
There you go. There you have it. There's the Christmas word from Teak today. Who did I call you, Chris?
Chris Kringle.
There you go. Anyways, so the rhythm that we follow here at First Baptist is the children sing one Sunday of Advent, and then our worship choir sings a Sunday, and they take up the majority of the message time on those days. So there's not a sermon per se, but the message is sung or portrayed. And so it's something different that we do that I guess by now we've fallen into quite a rhythm with that.
Oh, yeah. Well, you said, I think from the first time you did Advent, that Advent is about the music. The Christmas is about the music. And at first I kind of was like, okay, whatever. But everywhere you go, there's music. So I'm hearing it. And then just yesterday I went down to a restaurant in Roscoe, and there's music playing from the top of the police station. They're playing Christmas music downtown, which gave me new ideas. So maybe you're right.
Uh-oh.
I'm not coming on our
let's be
police
honest,
station.
A lot of times when I say something or suggest something, you say whatever.
True.
Okay.
It takes a while for it to grow on me, but that's everybody. It's not just you. Yours actually grow on me, though.
Well, and I guess that in some ways is my preference, personal preference or bias, but some of that is just trying to kind of understand, who comes to church at Christmas time.
Right.
And that while I think you want to be sure that you proclaim the gospel and help people understand the story from birth, and how all this came about, why it came about, and understanding the hope that Christ will return.
Right.
All those things are important, but I don't think that you have to take the bulk of time to remember that, because people don't walk away from church with that sermon ringing in their ears, ever. But they will walk away with a song, particularly at Christmas time, when there are songs that everyone's familiar with.
Right. And really, there's 4 Sundays of Advent. There's a lot of people who might think that you need to hear a sermon every Sunday of Advent because you only have 4 out of 52. But our Christmas Eve service does a great job of pulling everything together.
Right. We do try to acknowledge the rhythm and the flow of Advent, and to sequence things in a way that it does highlight and speak to the specific themes. And for if any theologians are out there that listen to this and you want to debate me on this, you can, but don't overvalue your content. I'll just say that. But anyways, the last week the message was the message of peace, the second Sunday of Advent, and I kind of share with our congregation that was here Sunday that one, at least from the developing the message portion, is difficult, and I guess they're all challenging in their own unique way. For one, it's a story that most are familiar with. They're going to be in church.
Right.
The one on hope, where you're talking about the return of Christ, that just, if you're not familiar with the Advent rhythm, that seems odd or out of place, at terms of a conversation. But the message of peace is one that I think is difficult because it's the most difficult to grasp.
Right.
If you just take the 4 words of hope, joy,
Peace and love.
Peace and love. I got them out of order again.
That's all right.
But if you take those and try to just assimilate those into your life, into your experience, all of them seem to be pretty clear.
Right.
And yet everything around us forces us out of a peaceful experience. And so I didn't talk about that a lot. I know that a lot of times that I would, in reference to that, but I don't think you cannot ignore that.
Right.
That it's, while we're trying to experience peace, we're in a natural time of chaos.
Oh, yeah.
From decorating to gift buying and family and plans and everything else that might go on.
Yeah, peace is the one that is probably the most appropriate for us to hear about.
All right.
Because it is the most difficult to experience.
Right. In terms of just the straight-on message of the words, I think you're right that is probably the one. And it's interesting because it resonates with people. Because I think we all, even outside of the Advent season, I think all of us want a little bit of that calmness that comes from just the thought of what peace is really like.
Right, which was probably part of the intent of Sabbath and getting time away and bringing that peace into your life and experiencing that, which that might be totally off, but I was just thinking about that.
I think
getting away and spending time alone with God, spending time with family, that brings you back into center, I guess.
Right, and that's something I think that we talk about frequently here as far as a rhythm, and making that a normal part of a rhythm, either honestly daily, weekly, and whatever else throughout a calendar year. But you want to seek those times out, because those times of reflection really help us, I think, to put ourselves in a place where we can hear, because we want to listen. Yeah. And outside of some, the other ways that we listen oftentimes are not so healthy. They're out of crisis or need. And so to just try to replenish our life spiritually in some quietness and some peace, I think is very healthy, spiritually healthy for us.
Well, and another part of Advent is not just our experience of peace or joy or hope or love, but our role in bringing that to earth. God's kingdom come here and that we're part of doing that. So how do we bring peace into others' lives?
Right.
And hopefully through these processes, through worship on Sunday, through leading that, through our experience with people, we can help others experience peace.
Right. And we can go on with that. I just had some more thoughts, but I won't get into those. But peace is an interesting one as it applies to us individually as believers and followers and disciples, and then also in the church, in the life of the church.
Best way to experience peace, turn off 24-hour news and 24-hour weather. It's great.
Yeah. And my other thought was, and close the doors to the church.
True.
But we should talk about that. But anyways,
I'm okay with that.
we try to keep this podcast short. But next Sunday, the theme is joy, and we do move into these last two that are really easy to grasp. It is a joyful season. There are, I think we do tend to hopefully recognize and remember that for some families, there could be something that's happened within the last year that causes joy to be a little bit more difficult. But even in those tough times, which would be difficult anyway, you can sense the joy of this season, this experience in knowing Christ.
Right. We'll talk a lot about on Sunday in youth about the difference between joy and happiness, and that joy isn't dependent on circumstances. Right. Joy comes from our experience of life with Christ.
So we experience that through the normal aspects of our worship, through music and lighting of the candles and reading Scripture, and then our children will explain that, what joy means in this season through their musical.
One of my favorite parts of our Advent service is the lighting of the candles. I like seeing, because we have different families go up there and do that. Megan and Thomas did a great job this week. Shout out to them. But I love that part of it, seeing different people up there reading Scripture and lighting the candles.
Yeah, it's a neat thing. But you're into candles, right?
Well, not me, but the person who takes care of them does a great job of taking care of them.
I'm responsible for candle management at First Baptist Church. That's a title that I took on.
Yes.
So that we're ready every year.
And we are.
Anyways, well, it's been a good week, and we're in that season where we look forward each Sunday to what God's going to do, who's going to be here, who's going to show up, who's going to experience the times together, and just that spirit of expectation of what God's going to do in our presence. I think I mentioned at staff meeting yesterday that just the spirit was really just felt good on Sunday, and it's hard to miss really when you're at Christmas time and you're in a warm place and you're celebrating Christ. So
it's decorated and pretty.
Oh, it's beautiful. So speaking of that, I don't know if we've mentioned this, that there are several places within our church that are great for family photos.
Oh yeah.
Our welcome center is beautifully decorated and suitable for those photos, as well as go down there and see the chapel, the built to scale,
right? The original church building.
The original church building, and so it's beautiful. It's fun to during the week walk through there where it's light outside, but it's dark inside except for the lighting. So. But anyways, it's going to be a great Sunday. We look forward to seeing you there.
I'll be there.
And we'll look forward to seeing you all there as well.
See you then.